But that is a problem that's brought about by more population, an increase in population. So it's really a social, a population problem, isn't it?
And also it's coupled with some kind of economic paradigms the government used to adhere for last 20 years. That is basically they brought a lot of bad industries into the country because of free trade policy. And there were a lot of the industries brought to in the name of free trade zones. So it became a very bad problem. And also those industrial areas became highly populated. That brings a lot of problems into the country.
Industrial pollution.
Industrial pollution.
Yet some people say that actually the rate of deforestation in Sri Lanka is about the worst in the world. That in the past 10 years or so, the rate of degradation has been more than 35% a year. What do you say about that?
Yeah, it's in 1990, the beginning of the 20th century, the 70% of this land was covered by the forest. And the beginning of the 21st century, it was 22% of the land area of the country. So you can see the biggest deforestation happened in the colonization programs. It started in 1940s. When Sri Lankan gained the independence, a lot of leaders that time thought they should go for a mega-scale irrigation projects and resettle people everywhere. It's coupled with a lot of social, environment, ethnic, and also one of the reasons for the war. And that programs accelerated in 1980s. When the 1977 the government, the new government came in, and they were looking for a free trade policy, and they thought that there should be a lot of infrastructure projects, and then they built big dams, destroying the upper stream of the watersheds, and then they destroyed a lot of down forest areas in the intermediate and the dry zone areas, and that brought something like 22-23% of forests being cut for those within that 10 years. That was the biggest problem happened. If you think about this mega Mahavalley development project, that they built 5 dams, and then they want to resettle 300,000 people. So it used lot of land, lot of forest land, in the both like in the upstream watershed areas as well as the dry zone forest. And even today, that is expanding of these activities and the infrastructure building cleared a lot of forest areas. And that is a big issue. That is a part of the government and the decision-making process, and also expanding the villages and the population in rural areas, and they also destroy a lot of forests. So it is a kind of the 50-50 destruction from the communities and also with the state.
And going back now to your statement of industrial pollution and how commercial interests prevailed over environmental interests, how can you maintain a balance between people's livelihood and the ecology?
Yeah, that is a kind of a highly addressed question, because always when the government says that development or making infrastructure or industrial project, they say that we are going to address the unemployment problem. But at the same time, when they're going to do that, there are a lot of people losing their livelihood in terms of fisheries, small-scale agriculture, home gardens, or the people who are living from the forest resources. So it's a big problem at the moment. So that is, if you think about the sustainable development and the community development, and also how to keep this small scale livelihoods in the country, that is a big challenge at the moment. So one thing is, we have to address the problem within Sri Lanka, how we understand the sustainable development. So there are a lot of definitions for the sustainable development. The person in USA understands sustainable is very differently from Sri Lanka. So what we always say, the government don't see the Singapore model, don't look into the model of Malaysian, look into the kind of a model that can be shoot for the Sri Lanka, also thinking on the global environment crisis. So when you make the infrastructure that is needed for the Sri Lankan development activities. That's what we always tell the government and also the decision makers like IFIs. It's very hard to keep the balance between the neoliberal economic policies and the dependent livelihood activities in the country. So it's always has been a challenge, and it has been a kind of a big argument and big debate in the society at the moment.
But people are aware that there is a kind of, that there should be a balance between the commercialization of resources like water, I mean, you need more water for industries, even for people's use. A balance between that and conservation. People are aware of that?
Yes, but the problem is the way that if you think about this water issue, when the government wants to make a water policy, and it always came up with some commodification of water and pricing of water. So the people always had a kind of a very negative idea that they have to pay a lot for the water in the beginning. So that is always the conservation method came with commercializing as is a kind of a commercial good. But the government now slowly understanding that there should be a balance. The water is a kind of a cultural good in one way, and also the one basic human need to be. And the conservation water is something, but commercializing water is something. There is a still big conflict between the government policymakers and the farmers, fishermen, and the scientists, the people who wanted water free. But we also see that there is a lot of wastage happening because of this no policy situation. So we are now with the government, we are lobbying with the government and other IFIs that we have been fighting with the 5 years framework to get the very inclusive, justifiable process of distribution of water, and also have a good balance of industrialization and also small scale farmers and also the domestic users in the country. So that is a big challenge, but people have understood that we need a kind of a water policy, but it should be kind of a people-centric water policy.
It's a classic development dilemma, isn't it?
Yes, and also people think that the water will be a kind of a commercial good in the future, like oil. So we are a kind of a water-born country because we have a lot of water here. The people don't see it as a kind of a scarce resource. So that is a debate here. But there are a lot of people still living without water. But it is not the problem of availability of water. It is the problem of distribution. Management.
You have to do all these programs, not you, people, NGOs. They have to work in a very security-tied situation with the conflict going on. How difficult is it to work in such a situation, and what do you do?